Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SBDC's class on WordPress or Squarespace. We are so glad you're here. This is a presentation from the Shasta-Cascade SBDC, and we provide low-cost and no-cost confidential one-on-one advisory services, and this is for entrepreneurs and small businesses in Shasta County and Trinity County. We also offer no-cost or low-cost workshops and webinars just like this one. We're funded by the U.S. Small Business Administration and the state of California. People are joining us from all over, sometimes even outside the U.S. But for those of you that are in the U.S. and you might not be in Shasta or Trinity County, you can go out to the website or go out to Google rather and search for SBDC location to find an SBDC that services your county, because all counties in the U.S. are serviced by an SBDC site. So right now, I would like to introduce you to Zack Barton. Zack is running our program today. Zack, take it away.
Thank you, Linda. Appreciate it. Yeah, just a really quick introduction. My name is Zack Barton. I'm the Director of Barton Interactive. We have an office here in downtown Reading, and we've had our doors open since 2014. We do full-service web design. Full-service web design agency. We manage email, social media marketing, web design development, and other projects along those lines to usually beef up businesses' online presence. I've had the privilege of serving clientele including Eddie Bauer, Wet Seal, Vitamin Shop, Skechers, and more. And let's see here. A tiny bit more about our agency before I dive in. As mentioned, we're a team of designers, developers, marketers who design, develop, and market out of pure passion. We've driven success through web development, responsive design, branding, identity, and SEO services, and things like that. Stop by anytime. But let's dig in. The objective for this webinar would be this. By the end of this course, we want you to be able to walk out with key factors when you're considering which website platform do I want to go with. Do I want to go with WordPress? Do I want to go with Squarespace or something else? Even if you're considering something else, we think that this would really be helpful to you. Okay? So we're going to give a real quick overview. In case you're unaware, Squarespace and WordPress are both very known website platforms. They are two of the most popular. WordPress is known to power, in fact, over 1/3 of the websites on the internet. That's a lot of websites. So, and considering that 1 out of every 7 people has a blog nowadays, from what I understand, that's just an awful lot. So you do the math. But both tools give you the ability to create, modify a website without needing much previous knowledge. Almost want to put a little asterisk there. You might need to know a little bit more when it comes to WordPress, and we'll talk about that more soon. But you don't necessarily need programming or coding skills to use either one of these platforms. Both are suitable absolutely for small, medium-sized, sometimes even large-sized businesses, but they are very different from one another. So we're going to really dig into why are they different, how are they different, and we're not going to. We can talk endlessly about that, but we're at least going to take a look at maybe the 5 main areas where what we see as the biggest key differentiators between the two. Before I dive into that, I do want to say a quick hello to our attendees. I see V, I see Mike. You guys want to unmute yourselves and say hello really quick? Or you can use the chat box if you prefer. Okay, well, feel free to jump in and say hello on the chat box at any point. And I did want to keep this more conversational, meaning I don't want to just sit here like a robot and talk to, talk this whole time. I'm guessing this is probably going to be about an hour-ish. I don't want to just go on and on and on. I would love for you to interject. I would love for you to ask questions. I would love for you to say, wait a minute, I didn't understand that, or what did you mean by this? So feel free to do that. Use the chat box if you're more comfortable, or it's absolutely okay to unmute yourselves, okay? Okay, so starting with Squarespace. Squarespace is meant as more of a website builder, okay? I want to throw really big quotes around that. A website builder is something where you can kind of walk in, you don't really know what you're doing, and that's okay. This is meant for you, and you can kind of fumble your way through it, and that's all right. That's what it's there for. So it's geared towards people who've never had a website before. It focuses on ease of use rather than options and expensive features, okay? So it is a very good platform. It doesn't take much time or headspace to complete, there's a spelling error there, complete a website. You could actually, if you really wanted to, start building a Squarespace website right now. And by the time I'm done talking, you could actually probably have something that you could send a link over to and we could take a look at it. Not that I'm encouraging you to do that, but yeah, it's that easy, okay? So if that's what you're going for, could be a great fit for you. It emphasizes simplicity of use, okay? So features are limited, okay? Features aren't, what it's known for, okay? It's known for simplicity. It's also a relatively inexpensive option. When you see an ad for Squarespace, who are they targeting? They're probably targeting people who are, they might be a musician, maybe an actor, or someone who wants to start, just happens to want a website as a platform. They're really targeting people who are there. This is like their first website. I almost feel like a real estate agent who's saying like a first-time home buyer. So it's kind of a different crowd, and that's okay. That's wonderful. Squarespace could be a stronger option for those kind of people. WordPress, on the other hand, and for some reason, I'm just gonna vent this for a second, that WordPress has a capital P and Squarespace doesn't have the capital S. I don't know why that bugs me, but making sure that those are all consistent through this is always a crack up for me. But so WordPress, it's in depth, okay? I don't want to say it's a website builder, okay? Although they did just make a release. If you're familiar with WordPress, you're probably familiar with the Gutenberg editor they just rolled out, which is the biggest change we've seen to WordPress. Heck, I've been using it since the early 2000s, and this is the biggest change I've seen since then. I was talking to our senior developer today. He said the same exact thing. He's like, I could think of one other major jarring change they've made along their lifetime, and this just kind of was it. It's not a bad change. They've actually made it a lot more like Squarespace in the sense that you can now click on elements and they're instantly in your in the back end, in the admin of a page or a blog post. So they basically made it a little bit more Squarespace-like, so they could probably start to market a little bit more toward first-time website owners, okay, while also still catering to the plethora of web designers, agencies, web developers, and things like that kind of WordPress is a lot of their go-to, okay? So, and again, if you have a question, if I'm talking Greek, please interrupt me. I'd be happy to stop and chat, okay? So with WordPress, users do have a little bit more of a learning curve. Even with the new Gutenberg editor that's specifically built for the Squarespace kind of user, there's still a bit more of a learning curve than you would find with Squarespace, absolutely. On the plus column, though, the sky's the limit, absolutely. There are tens of thousands of free and not free pre-designed themes and plugins, okay? Themes almost meaning like you probably heard the word like skinning of something, like, can we reskin this? I know that's kind of a dated term, but that might help somebody here, I don't know. And plugins, meaning those are just like bits of additional functionality that you take and you add to your site, okay? There are tens of thousands, maybe probably hundreds of thousands, some free, some not, some good, some bad. It's open source, so you're gonna find all sorts of goodies, okay? It is world renowned for its ability to customize due to features and functionality. as mentioned, I own a web design agency, and so I don't want to say it's the only platform we use, not at all. But if we're going to do something very custom for a client, unless they need some, gigantic enterprise solution, something or other, it's 9 times out of 10 going to be a WordPress project, unless it's, very, very, very low budget. Okay. And looks like someone might have jumped into, oh, that's Linda jumping into chat. Excellent. So it can be a relatively inexpensive option, like Squarespace. It just depends on what you want to do. So if you are, if you have a $500 budget or a $3,000 budget, or no budget at all, and you're just really willing to learn, really either of these platforms could be a fit. You're probably not going to find lots of $10,000 or $20,000 Squarespace projects. You'll probably find some, but a lot of times that would be more like WordPress, where you would start to get a little bit more expensive, because you can do so much more with it, and all the code is completely accessible, unlike Squarespace. So, but let's dive into, that's just a general overview. Let's dive into the distinguishing characteristics one by one. Now, I think we picked out 5 specific areas where we're going to say, okay, let's compare WordPress and Squarespace. And we found these to be the top 5 most important pieces that are different between the two, okay? One of them, I already kind of said a little bit, but right off the bat, required skill level. I mean, this is going to really separate things real quick, okay? You could also say ease of use. So many small businesses are searching for an entry-level website building tool that will allow them to customize a website themselves without requiring a significant skill or a large learning curve. That's not all of them. That's not all businesses. I know a lot of businesses and organizations and individuals where they never plan to update it themselves. So they don't care how hard it is to update for themselves or someone on their team. But if that's you, right off the bat, I almost want to give like a gold star to Squarespace, because they're going to hold your hands so much through this. You don't need to know one character of code, and you can still end up with a website, and it might even look okay. So a website platform's ease of use is important to consider, because it will impact timeline and budget for the project. And so let's talk about how WordPress and Squarespace compare in this particular factor. Okay, so with technology, familiarity with technology, we have WordPress, where it does take a bit of time to familiarize yourself with the tools, with the terms. You're going to have some comprehension of themes and plugins. You're going to have to understand what's the difference between a post and a page and other terms like that. You're going to have to set up your own hosting, unless you go with WordPress.com, that they would do that for you. But otherwise, if you go with GoDaddy or someone like that, Bluehost, you name it, you're going to have to figure that out. Get your own domain name, get your own hosting, and then you install WordPress on top of that, and there you go. Squarespace is kind of like a one-stop shop for all of this for you. They don't want you to have to think, which could be advantageous to some and be a nightmare for others, depending on who you're talking to. So relatively self-explanatory. Like I said, you can kind of fumble your way through it and have a website up, kind of like Weebly or Wix. And that's not a put down. It's specifically catering to people who are really limited with experience in building a website. That's okay.
Excuse me, Zach.
Yes, please.
I have, from having built my website, you just mentioned something. I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on it. Can you explain more about hosting? Because I remember when I first started this, the fact that I got my web address from someone and there was a host. Can you just talk a little more specifically about that? What exactly hosting is?
Yeah, a little bit about what it is.
Right.
And let me know if this answers your question, but maybe, I'm looking at our office window right now, and I'm looking at a building across the street, okay? It's got an address, all right? And that address is probably like 1801 Pine Street. So that address is kind of like your domain name. You have to purchase that address. It's not just given to you like in when you're buying a house or a business building. Okay, so that would be your domain name. A lot of times you just buy that from the host, although there are companies that just sell the domain name outright. Those can be very cheap to very expensive depending on what you want. Like if you're going to buy cars.com, you're probably going to be spending a minimum of tens of thousands of dollars or more just for that domain name if it's even available, which I don't think it is. But then hosting itself is kind of like having a building to put all of your stuff in. Okay, so a website is really made of a bunch of files, just like your computer has a bunch of files on it, right? So hosting is what allows you to upload files or edit files that are on there, whether you know that or not. But it's basically a server that has a nice interface for you and that can present to people on the web. So it connects your domain name with the files that you have or whatever your website has, and shows it as a website to people who show up at that address. Did that help at all, Linda?
That's
Did that
great,
answer your
because
question?
I kind of, when I first started with my website years ago, I remember not really understanding that those are three different things. One is buying the domain name, two is who's going to host it, and three is what software are you going to use to tie it all together. So thanks, that was great.
Absolutely, and really good question. So if you're the kind of person, I know some people who, and I think we're working with some people right now who are almost kind of annoyed that they have to do all that. If you're in that category, I'm going to tell you WordPress might not be the best fit for you. If you're like, hey, everything you just said is Greek, I don't want to know. Squarespace or Weebly or Wix, but I'd probably recommend Squarespace over those two, would be more suited for you. Okay, they'll handle the hosting. They probably won't even use the word hosting because they don't want to confuse anybody. They don't want to sound like they're talking Greek to anybody. The domain name, they might not even, I'm sure they would use the word domain name, but they're going to try to keep it as simple as possible. Okay, let's see here. And excellent. Okay, and Mike, thanks for chiming in. Yeah, let me know if you have any other questions, you or Linda or B or anyone else. So in summary, Squarespace requires less previous understanding. I'm starting to beat a dead horse. So this is kind of a mean meme, and I've thrown in a few memes just to keep everybody awake here. But if you fall into this category, if you're, I almost feel bad like this is a put down, not meant at all as a put down. It's just a joke. But if you're technologically challenged, and some people who need websites are, and that's okay. I would either, if you're going to be doing it yourself, then Squarespace would probably be a better fit for you. Now let's talk about navigation. So second factor here, WordPress, highly customizable. The function of the editor itself can be relatively straightforward. I always tell people, if you're going to go with WordPress, you want to make sure that you at least have a Microsoft Office level of comprehension. In other words, if you can handle, that Microsoft Outlook level of programs, like, or I would say even like the Google kind of the Google program out there. So I'm talking like Microsoft Outlook, Google Docs, Google Sheets, that level of comprehension. If you can do that kind of stuff, then I would say I wouldn't be afraid to jump into the WordPress world. Okay, once you get past that initial learning curve, you're actually probably going to find it pretty simple to use and really appreciate that you have it. Squarespace, on the other hand, lack of options means beginners can move through the website creation with less learning curve, very little. Okay, it's easy to attach media, easy to pick a layout. I was just refreshing my memory yesterday, looking through and whipping up a really quick website in Squarespace. If you're thinking, hey, I want to build a website in one day, and I have a limited budget, don't want to work with an agency, just want to pick a predefined color scheme that they already have, pick templates that they already have, I don't want to think about domain names or hosting or anything, Squarespace is probably what I would recommend to you. If you're up for a little bit more learning curve, WordPress there are some clear benefits there too. So to summarize again, Squarespace it requires less familiarity with website creation in order to use it. Okay. Now let's talk about aesthetics. In other words, look and feel. And let's talk about design capabilities. So if you don't know what these are in the design world, these are sometimes you start off with little wireframe sketches of websites that you're building. So regarding design capabilities, so businesses and bloggers seeking to draw traffic to their sites want to ensure that their website visually reflects them as a company. Why do we say that? Well, because you've probably been to a website where you might even have a website, I don't know, where it doesn't look professional, okay? And if you put your shopper hat on or your user hat on, I should say, and you go to a website like that, if you show up at a website and it looks really, really homegrown, what are your thoughts going to be on that? I'm just going to let you answer. What are your impressions going to be? What do you think? You show up at a website.
That reminds me of when you're watching TV and you see what makes me think of a local homemade commercial.
Yes.
Yes,
right.
It's not that professional feel that you want.
It's not a professional feel you want. Bingo. Okay, so this is important stuff. Very, very important. You can read really good studies on it. Thanks, Linda. In terms of psychology, what people think, there is a lot of great stuff to read up on that, how important design is. So you don't want to just go with something that's the easiest just because it's the easiest. There are other things to consider too, right? So various website platforms have varied degrees of built-in design features and capacity for customization. In other words, there are different platforms out there, not just WordPress and Squarespace. Those are two of the most popular, hands down. But there are a ton other ones too. They all have different amounts of capability when it comes to the look and feel of the website. What can you customize? What can't you customize? Does it even matter to you? This is important stuff to know before you pick your platform, okay? So both WordPress and Squarespace offer pre-made templates that you can use. Both include design tools that are already made, making it simple to add visual elements. WordPress allows for complete customization of the website, providing, you can use templates or themes, or you can just, if you're going to work with an agency, or if you happen to be a developer who wants to code it from scratch, honestly, that's the very best thing you can do, but it's going to be the least cost-effective thing you can do. But that's possible with WordPress. That's not possible with Squarespace. Squarespace, you select a pre-made template, okay? And it allows for very little customization of the design. I almost want to have a little asterisk here because you can insert blocks of custom code, and you also have access to a little block of custom code in the header of the website for Squarespace. So you could potentially start with a template, really with either, get the template or theme, if you will, installed, and then modify it to your liking. So let's say you were a, I don't know, what kind of business does anybody have here? Does somebody want to say what kind of business they're in?
Yeah, go ahead and type it in the chat and I'd be glad to share that with Zach.
So if someone types up an example, great. If not, we'll just say, oh, good, we got one.
E-commerce.
E-commerce. Okay, so let's say your e-commerce website means you sell online, which is going to be one of our biggest factors to talk about here. So that's excellent that you're here. Let's say your e-commerce store, in other words, your online store, is a shoe store. We're just going to pretend, and we're going to pretend that you've been around, you've been in business since the 80s, okay? And we'll pretend that your color scheme is green, okay? Green and gold or something, okay? Green and tan, I don't know, just throwing it out there. And you start with Squarespace because you have a day or two to get online. You need to get online real quick, but there's no templates in Squarespace that match your exact color scheme. That's okay. That's something that you can start with and you can start with one of their templates and then modify the colors to match your business. You can insert your logo over their placeholder logo and things like that. But if you were to say, hey, I want everything to match our branding. We have a style guide. We have custom fonts. We have tons of custom imagery. We have custom textures, backgrounds. We have sounds. We have, the rounded corners have to be a certain kind of rounded corner, and we want this to be beveled. And if you want that level of customization, you might be able to do it here. You can definitely do that with WordPress. Did I see another comment come in, Linda?
Yes, Mike said Mike has a home business.
Oh, home business, awesome.
Don't know the details of it.
Okay, excellent. So in summary, just for this point, Squarespace simplifies, WordPress expands options. So if you want to be able to do anything under the sun, almost, WordPress is an excellent choice for you. Okay, Squarespace, you're going to hit a glass ceiling eventually. It might be 6 months, it might be a year, but at some point it's likely where you're going to say, dang, we really wanted to add that feature, we really wanted to add that level of customization, and Squarespace actually just doesn't allow you to do that. And so that's kind of the drawback there. Okay. You can see now WordPress and Squarespace take a very different approach to website building. Squarespace allows you to pick a pre-made template. It's already available. You're kind of just clicking in and changing the text. Okay, they're almost handing you, here's your pre-made website. It already looks pretty. Hop in and change the text, change the photos. I mean, so there's a little bit more to it than that, but really that's what they're inviting you into. And that's not a bad thing. That could be a great thing if that's what you're looking for. WordPress, you can actually kind of do that too. If you're kind of using the most basic approach to WordPress, you can pretty much do that too, except you would still need to figure out hosting and domain name and things like that to get going. Multitude of tools available. Let's say, Mike, you said, hey, it's an e-commerce site, but we sell internationally, and we want it available in 5 different languages. Right off the bat, I don't think Squarespace can actually do half of what I just said right off the bat. Okay, so people like that already know that they have a little bit more of a sophisticated or complex setup to their website. In terms of look and feel or functionality, tend to go with WordPress or something a little bit beefier. Okay. All right.
Zach?
Yes.
Mike has a question. Does Squarespace have built-in SEO?
Yes, it does, but the most basic form of it. So I'm going to compare the two, and we could have made this a number 6. So excellent question. I think I just wanted to keep it to 5 because it's a nice round number, but SEO is definitely something that we considered when putting these slides together. So Mike, if you were to start a website right now, tonight, and you said, okay, I already have the title tags, the meta tags, the meta description to go in for each page. You've already figured that out. That's about what you can do with Squarespace. Okay, it has like two or three fields on every page for you to insert those tags that you've already come up with. That's what they hand you. Okay, and anything else that you would do that's SEO friendly, such as alt tags on your images or proper use of heading tags, things like that, that would be up to you to just know that and to do it and to make sure that their code has that. Okay.
Zach?
Yes.
Can you talk because we don't know the level of experience with some of the terminology, can you do a little more explaining for the words tags, meta tags, and meta description?
Sure. So I almost want to hop over to Google, but I won't do it. But if we were to do a quick Google search for Mike's Online Shoe Store, and maybe we'll just pretend that it's mikesonlineshoestore.com, just for fun, okay? And you search for that and you scroll down a little bit and you see these search results, right? One after another, okay? So in those search results, the title tag is actually what shows up as the blue link, okay, that people can click to go to see your web page in Google or Bing or Yahoo, etc. The text below is the meta description, okay? Some people customize that, and they know that to get more people to go from that Google search results page over to your website, they want to get pretty crafty with that, 130 characters or whatever they have. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. To customize that, use some sales copy that's really relevant to try to draw you through and make you stand out from those other million results that are, above and below you. Does that make sense? So you can edit those two fields if you know how to do that.
Thank you. It just helps us all get on the same page, just in case someone isn't familiar with those phrases. And I just put in the chat that SEO stands for search engine optimization.
Thank you. Yes, good point. It does. Good stuff. So that's Squarespace, and then WordPress, on the other hand, you have open access to get. It's almost like you walk into a shopping mall. Which plugin for SEO do I want? There are 300 of them. Should I go with? And it's not just as daunting as now you have to read all their reviews. And no, not at all. You could simply click a couple buttons or do a quick Google search or two and find, oh, the Yoast SEO plugin is free, and it's the #1 plugin. It's been used by millions and millions of websites, and it's got like a 4.5 out of 5-star rating. Let's go with that one. It sounds like it sounds like a no-brainer. The next one might have 3 stars or 2. So you can take your pick, and with those, you're going to have as beefy options as you can think, paid and free. So it's kind of like, I like to try to relate it to, either real estate or automobiles and things like that. But if you were to take your car into a mechanic that said, we can attach anything you want. We'll give you a spoiler. We'll give you, a new paint job. It's as customizable as you want. And that goes with the plugins too. So there are probably hundreds, I can guarantee it, hundreds of SEO plugins, paid and free, to really do as much or as little as you wanted in that department. So if SEO is a huge factor to you, hands down, I would say WordPress would be the winner on that one. So.
And Zach, just to let you know, we had a change in the chat. Mike is actually Haley, and Haley, she did a rename just because, clear it up a little bit. And Haley says, sure. I've never built a website. I'm thinking about starting a pet supply boutique.
Awesome. Okay, so Haley, thanks for chiming in. I love it. And so one of the biggest differentiators we're going to get to between these two platforms is e-commerce, okay? We're not there yet, so I'm going to put a bookmark in this conversation. But when we get to e-commerce, I think there's a pretty clear winner there, and I won't spoil it yet, but let me know if when we get through that content, if you still have questions. Obviously, we can chat, you can type, you can talk, whatever you want, okay? Okay. So, yeah, what is your selection? I don't know, Buzz, too many options. So some people don't want a lot of options, and that's okay. If that's you, Squarespace, again, if you are like, hey, let's see what we can do here. I don't want to track home. I want a completely custom build with an in-ground pool, and you want it to be your very ownable, very unique. WordPress is probably what I would lean towards, probably. Okay, so number 3, additional features and functionality. By now, you're probably starting to hear a pretty clear narrative. So forgive me if I start to do, I don't mean to do overkill here, but so both have their own features and capabilities. Some businesses want to look beyond this to consider what you can go beyond that. A website platform's functionality will determine what third-party features can be added to your site, including e-commerce integrations, Haley, scheduling features. I know plenty of people who have their own coaching kind of a website. I can think of 3 right off the top of my head that I have personal relationships with, and the scheduling feature is really important to them. Of course, that might not be important to Haley or Linda or somebody else, okay? or connection to social media pages? Do they feed in? Maybe someone really wants their Instagram feed to automatically pop up in a page, stuff like that. Those are the kind of integrations and extensions that we're talking about here. So WordPress has upwards of 54,000 plugins. This is probably changing by every day. It's obviously changing because it's open source, meaning any developer can write this stuff. That's good, and it's also, you also kind of have to really be careful with what you're getting into as well. Make sure that it's quality stuff. But so WordPress has upwards of 54,000 plugins. When we put this slideshow together, it's probably like 55 now, who knows, listed on the WordPress directory alone. In other words, there's tons of other websites out there too that have plugins that they've created. They just, for one reason or another, didn't end up on the WordPress plugin directory, okay? So these are just the ones that WordPress says, yeah, okay, we're gonna list you here. There are plenty more, good, bad, ugly, everything outside of that as well. So you could easily double that probably. So if you think of a specific need that your website has, and if you think of one right now, you can throw it in the chat box. If not, that's okay, no pressure. Chances are there are probably already many great, not just one great, but multiple great options available of WordPress plugins to choose from, okay? Did that make sense? So we'll go back to one of those examples that I said where maybe you wanted to pull in your Instagram feed, okay? I don't know any, actually I could think of a website that does that now that I think about it. If you want to do that on Squarespace, I don't know that you can actually do that. I'm sorry. That's not the kind of websites that they're really wanting to come up with, okay? WordPress, sure, here are 10 different plugins that you can choose from, and they're gonna have different ratings, different reviews. 1,000 people have tried, 100 people have tried, different pros and cons and things like that, okay? Squarespace provides built-in e-commerce features. We talked about e-commerce, we'll talk about it more, but it's pretty limited. There's going to be limited integration options, allowing limited ability for additional features. Like I said, they give you a little section where you can add some code in the header of your website, and they also give you editable HTML blocks that you can drop in. It's not really built for that though, but if you really needed to in a pinch, you can do a little bit of stuff there. WordPress, in summary, has just many more options. Some would say though, hey, Squarespace has everything I need, so why do the options overload thing? I don't want to be bombarded with options. If that's you, great. E-commerce. Okay, Haley, here we go. You might be, Haley's this person, except for this is a guy. I want that in our platform. If this is you, if you're like, hey, I already know we need e-commerce, then let's talk about this. So a lot of business owners, they want to list stuff online. They want to have, some can get away with, and Haley, this might be you, can just sell on eBay or can just sell on Amazon, except, and that's great because you don't have to have your own website for that. But eBay, it's hard to scale with how long it takes to enter products, and they have to work with each order. And with Amazon, one of the biggest drawbacks or complaints that I hear being in the industry is, well, shoot, if you check to see how many people are actually selling on Amazon, I don't think it's in the millions, but I think it's in the hundreds of thousands. So your competition is fierce, and you're going to have to be an absolute machine to succeed on there. But if you're thinking, hey, I know those aren't for me, or I've tried them, I don't like them, or I haven't tried them and I don't care, having an e-commerce site could be what you're looking for, where you have your own website and you're actually selling things on it, okay? So, Haley, if you're, did you say you sold pet supplies? I think she said pet supplies.
Right. She was thinking of doing that. Mm-hmm.
Cool. So if you're thinking about doing that, you could have, your homepage, 3 other pages, a couple categories, your 5 or 6 products. Maybe you make these products yourself, or you're an affiliate to a vendor or something like that. You have your own shopping cart on your website, and it's an official e-commerce store. You own it. It's yours. So when it comes to that, there are some things that you need to figure out. What are you willing, because that's going to cost a little bit more time and or effort to put that together. That's a little bit more complex than what I would call a brochure style website, where it's 3 pages, 5 pages, whatever. It's nothing crazy. It's just like, here I am, here's some stuff about me, that's about it.
Jack,
Like, yes.
just to give you another example, Haley said she's also considering selling art prints online. So that might give you another example to talk about.
Yeah, and I don't know that those, I could be wrong, but I don't know that those two would be on the same website. Maybe they would be, maybe they wouldn't be. Either way, you could have one e-commerce site or two, and whether you chose WordPress or Squarespace or something else, but specifically with WordPress or Squarespace, it wouldn't be hard to have two websites at the same time, just so you know. But there are some things that you would need to figure out, Haley, and whoever else is interested. What kind of online payment systems, like what are we going to accept? Do we accept all credit cards? How does that work? What's our budget for all this? What's our timeline look like? These are good things to consider here. And so WordPress, if you're a WordPress user, you're in luck. You can do all of this and much more. You can integrate with PayPal, Stripe, Google Checkout, any kind of credit card you can think of, any kind of payment people take, you can integrate that into your website. WordPress is actually free. It's open source. That means developers can build on it. They can, what's the word I'm looking for? They can contribute to it. They can develop for it. They can build their own plugins, things like that. WooCommerce is kind of the add-on that it doesn't come with, but it's built by the same people that built WordPress. They built WooCommerce. I wish the word was a little bit more similar, so it was more obvious that they go together, but they do. WooCommerce is also free. It's kind of amazing. So that automatically kind of has a little bit of a leg up there. You have pretty much the sky's the limit when it comes to what you can do with a WordPress e-commerce site using WooCommerce. There is a line we draw. My team draws the line here. Sometimes we'll work with businesses so big that they have maybe 5,000 or 10,000 SKUs or more, hundreds of thousands of SKUs or more. WordPress isn't really, with WooCommerce, isn't really built for that level. That's probably more like an enterprise level solution, most popular one being Magento for that level probably. There are other great ones out there too, but that's the point. Everything up until then, WordPress, it really takes the cake with WooCommerce, and that is the #1 e-commerce solution. If you're taking notes at all, Haley, or whoever else is interested, WooCommerce with WordPress, it's free. It's the #1 solution out there for this. A little bit of a learning curve, but sky's the limit, okay? Squarespace, super easy to use. Yeah, we're going to let you have an e-commerce site if you want to. Haley can sell her pet supplies, haleyspetsupplies.com or whatever. But your hands are kind of tied, Haley, when it comes to can we customize the emails, the transactional emails people get? Can we customize, can we have abandoned shopping cart emails? Someone's on your website, they're a logged in user, they leave your site. You really want them to get an automatic email like, hey, you forgot to finish your purchase of my cool boutique pet product. You can't do anything on that level with Squarespace. That's the expert level e-commerce site owner stuff. You can do the basics. Squarespace didn't come out to be that kind of a solution. WordPress, absolutely. You can do all that. So summary, on this point alone, WordPress has more flexibility. I'm going to take a breath and breathe. Does anybody have any questions before we get into number 5 here? And that'll be our 5th and final kind of main differentiator factor.
And just to be a little more specific, V let me know that when it comes to e-commerce, the topic there is clothing. clothing and beauty products. So that will kind of help you have a better idea of what people are looking to sell.
Perfect. Okay, clothing and beauty products. Yeah. So if you were going to say, hey, I just want, this is going to be Haley's first website, thinking about having it. I don't want it to be complex at all. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I got 2 jobs or whatever the case. You don't have time or just don't want to dive into all that. You don't have the headspace for that. That's okay. That's more than okay. Squarespace would be what I would recommend for you. If you're thinking, no, we got some funding, or I've been saving for this, we really want to take this seriously. We want to have some really cool bolted on, so to speak, big customizations, features, functionality. WordPress would be what I would definitely consider if I were you. So,
Zach,
yes.
we have a member with us, and forgive me, I don't know their name. They're showing up as owner. And the question is, I prepare tax returns. Are there plugins that allow for secure upload of a client's confidential documents?
Excellent question, owner. So, yes, there are plugins for that kind of thing, or there are plugins that would be similar, that could be kind of massaged to take care of that kind of functionality. You would be a great candidate for a WordPress user if you're not already. I wouldn't recommend Squarespace if you need that level of it's a word I'm looking for. If you need that kind of customization to your site, you're just not going to see that kind of stuff in Squarespace. Not a knock, just facts. I'm not, and I'm not a clear advocate one versus the other. I use one more than the other because of the nature. One makes sense. It just depends on the individual. Was that helpful to you?
Back at the very end of what you were saying, like 1 sentence ago, we lost the audio. So we didn't miss
bummer.
much of what you said, but if you could just repeat that last little bit again.
Sure. And to confirm, can you hear me right now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks, Linda. Yeah, so Squarespace and WordPress, I was just saying, I'm not a clear advocate or affiliate or anything like that with either. I don't walk around with a shirt on that promotes one or anything like that, okay? I happen to use WordPress more because that's the nature of the business that I own. However, for a lot of people, Squarespace makes more sense, and that's just how it goes. Hopefully that's helpful to you. And owner, whoever, whatever your actual name is, if you have any more questions, feel free to throw them out there.
Yes, owner did reply. The reply only came to me, but let me share that with you. He said, the person said, yes, I can see that, and that would be a prime reason, meaning that would be a prime reason to stick with the WordPress. So, great.
Excellent. Okay.
Thank you.
Good. And it looks like a couple other questions might have popped up.
Yes. V asked a question. What about someone selling digital items like ebooks and designs?
Okay, that's a really good question. So with WordPress, you can absolutely do that. With Squarespace, I'm not entirely sure you can do that. I'm afraid that you would have to look that up, and the way I would word it when searching would be a digital product. And either way, I'm gonna just kind of throw you an outside of the box solution. V, let's say you're like, hey, I'm actually sold on Squarespace. Other than, let's say you're just like, I really want Squarespace. I don't want the complexity of WordPress, but I really want to sell these things. You could potentially go with an offsite, kind of a third-party solution, and that would be, there's a company called Gumroad, okay? Gumroad, and there are other companies like them where it would be a third party that you could attach to either a Squarespace or a WordPress site for a fee. you could actually show products on your website and people can click it. I almost want to pull it up right now, but I think I'll get derailed if I do that. People could click the product and it'll prompt them for their credit card information. They can enter it in right there. They won't even know that it's a third-party service. They'll just think it's actually part of your website. It looks like part of your website, but it's actually being powered by a third party. Tongue twister there. And so that's good news for you. You could attach that to either site. Now, is it going to be the best fit for you financially? Probably not, because again, WordPress with WooCommerce is actually free. That's pretty hard to beat. Now, the different features and customizations that you're adding on are probably not going to be free, at least some of them. And if you take a credit card transaction, through your own website, I don't know what kind of fees you're going to negotiate for your merchant account. And a lot of people just use Stripe or Square or those kind of things. And you're probably looking at roughly 2.9% for a transaction fee, I think is like the most common. You might be able to get a little bit better if you go through your bank kind of thing, anyways, that could be better than if you were to go the route that I just went. People are happy to make things easier for you for a price. So if you're not sold on Squarespace and you're like, I don't care which way we go, whichever is cheaper in terms of, we want to sell thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of products, WordPress would probably be the hands down clear winner. But I hope that was helpful. If not, let me know. And Linda, I'm ready for the next question if you are.
We are caught up on questions, and V said yes, thank you.
Awesome.
And it turns out owner is Bob, so we can refer to owner as Bob going forward.
Although owner does have a nice ring to it, Bob, you might want to consider changing it. I'm just joking. Okay, excellent. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to throw them out there, obviously. So now let's talk about, to some people, they're not going to care about this. To me, this is a big deal. I was just talking about this today with our senior developer. Number 5, website migration ability. We almost called this data portability, but we didn't want everybody scratching their head. What are you talking about? So the ability to move your website off of the platform and to somewhere else. Why would you ever want to do that? Well, Bob, if you had a website and let's say you're like, I love the site, but this hosting, it's garbage. Every time I call their support, they're terrible. They don't understand me. I don't understand them. It takes me 10 phone calls just to get through. And you're like, I love our site. I don't want to lose that, but I just don't want to go with this hosting company anymore. Okay. You want to move your site somewhere else. Maybe you're on GoDaddy and you don't like GoDaddy. You want to move it over to Bluehost, or if you don't like Bluehost, you want to move it over to HostGator, or it could go on and on, but hopefully that's starting to make sense. And so this is probably going to say what I just said. What is data portability, or what is migration ability? So the ease at which someone can move their data from one site to another. This ensures that a site's content can be accessible on different platforms long term. So I just said it in layman's terms, but there's a little more of a formal explanation. And Linda, feel free to pause me. It looked like another question may have floated in, but unless we're
we actually had someone join. We just had someone join in recently, so we are all set.
Sounds good. Good.
Just to let people know, if you just joined or you joined us a little late, this is being recorded, and it will be shared with all of you in the follow-up email from Emily in a couple days.
Excellent. Thank you. So we are actually winding down here, but we will definitely have plenty of Q&A time if you have any other questions. But so on this 5th and final main key differentiator, WordPress allows you to back up and transport all of your data, including themes, plugins, images, media. I know people that upload podcasts and videos to their WordPress site. Anything that you upload to WordPress, yes, you can back it up. You can put those backups wherever you want to put them. And you can move them. You can move them to a different host, like I said in that example. Squarespace, it's just not like that. It's they're a one-stop shop, so you can't really move your site from Squarespace to WordPress or something like that. Like let's say Bob said, "Hey, after that webinar, I decided to create a Squarespace site because I needed to get it live in the next 2 days, and I didn't want to I didn't want to bother learning about this stuff." Understandable. But let's say in a year goes by. Now it's 2021. Hopefully we're out of this coronavirus stuff then, and you're thinking, I'm glad we have the site, but I really don't like Squarespace. I unfortunately would have to say, Bob, I'm really sorry, but you can export like a single, you can export a Squarespace file, but you can't, it's all in one file. It's really just for uploading back up to Squarespace, from what I understand. You can't actually take your site and move it to another host and things like that. That's just not the way they work. It's just not set up that way. And I think they probably don't mind keeping it that way, I would guess. So to summarize this point, WordPress allows you to access everything. You can back up your site. You could put it in Dropbox. You could put it on your computer. You could have it emailed to you, whatever you want to do with that. You could set the intervals on backups. You can copy one backup and put it on another domain name, and all of a sudden you have two websites. You can do some crazy stuff. Squarespace, you really are pretty limited here. And I don't want to say, don't go with Squarespace just because of this. I mean, you could potentially, Bob, say, well, I really like the simplicity of Squarespace, so we went with that. And a year later, we decided to move. The move part would just look a little bit different. You would then probably work with a team or something like that, or maybe you maybe you're savvy with design and development. You could recreate it on another platform. But you can't just kind of copy it and drop it somewhere else. So I hope that's helpful to you. I don't want to say don't go with Squarespace. That's not what I'm saying with this point or with any of these points, but it does look quite a bit different. It is pretty limited in this regard. Now, I didn't include this, but it's just in my head ringing like I really need to say this. I've obviously said a lot of good things really about both platforms, okay? And it's not included on any of these slides, but I really need to mention this. If you are expecting to be able to call in and have support walk you through an issue or even get set up or anything like that, Squarespace is exactly what you're probably wanting to look at, okay? They have a team that's well known for their customer service, and they can walk you through something. I'm pretty sure it's 24/7. That's excellent. WordPress, you just don't have that. WordPress is kind of like a piece of software that you pick up and then you install. So you're not really going to reach out to call. You're not going to probably call WordPress and say, "Hey, can you help me? Can you walk me through this?" Now, I need to say, however, that you can go with, if you work with an agency or you can work with a host, and yes, you could call an agency or a host, but that's a little bit different, not much, but to some people it is. And another thing I would say is there is WordPress.com instead of .org. .org would be for the do-it-yourselfers. You download WordPress for free and you install it, that kind of thing. .com is you think, well, I kind of want you guys to set it up for me. I want a dedicated support team. You guys walk me through this. I don't have time in or headspace or whatever. So you can do that with WordPress, but it would need to be WordPress.com or a specialty host and or web design agency. Okay, it's not in a slide, but I think that's really important stuff. Okay, so time to wrap up. So let's see, to summarize everything, Squarespace is a much more streamlined, simplified website builder in comparison to WordPress. It's easier to use. It's got a lot less options, but these limited options might prove restricting for some web designers, or I should say website owners. The site builder could be limiting to business, your growth over time. Absolutely. That doesn't mean you shouldn't start with it, but you probably will hit a glass ceiling if you're doing tons and tons of stuff with your website. So, but you got design features. You can have a pretty looking site, but it is simplified, not quite as customizable. Does not integrate with many other, I would say, third parties. E-commerce structure really has to align with their paid plan, and they have a specific e-commerce plan that's I don't remember the pricing, and it probably changed by the time we post this video, but so you can just look that up, just Google Squarespace pricing. You'd have to have an e-commerce plan, and even with that, it's going to be pretty limited, to be honest. And the full site cannot be exported, at least to be transported over to another platform, at least easily. WordPress, on the other hand, just to summarize, is the most common choice really for websites in the world, but also for many high quality websites that are tailor-made. Okay, I almost want to underline and bold that, to a specific business's specific needs. Okay, so there is more learning curve, as I said again and again, when compared to Squarespace, and it's more and more self-maintenance is required. So you actually got to update things. You got to see when things are out of date, and update plugins and your site and things like that. Make sure that you're running your own backups. You're kind of your own boss here, which is a good thing in a lot of people's eyes, but some people they don't want to know. So WordPress is the preferred route for businesses that they have like long-term vision for growth and or need a lot of customizations. Okay, so you do have a very versatile editor, and with their most recent update that was just rolled out this year, the Gutenberg editor, it's actually pretty simple even if you don't know code. But if you are a savvy web developer, it's not like you can't get under the hood of the car. Okay, you can access any darn thing you want to, which is, you can't beat that. Tens of thousands of themes and plugins available, limitless e-commerce customization capability, with the exception of, I wouldn't recommend it if you have like 200,000 SKUs or something like that. It's probably not built for that. And then total long-term ownership of full site content. When you have that site, the only thing you're paying for each month is probably your hosting and your domain name, maybe the plugins, but you're not paying Squarespace fees to just be a customer. So it's probably going to end up being cheaper, depending on your setup, though. There's so many factors when it comes to pricing. So, okay, let's open it back up for any questions. We're doing great on time. So yeah, if anybody has any questions that you haven't already asked, or comments, go for it. We'd love to hear from you, whether you use chat or feel free to unmute yourselves at this point.
And I know it takes people a little time to type something into chat. So if you need to type something in, please go ahead. And like Zach said, you can always turn on your mic. And Zach, one thing, just because I went through this, I can so relate to this. I remember creating my own website when I didn't have much money, and creating it with a friend, kind of trying to help me in WordPress, but she was trying not to do the work and she was trying to coach me through. Can you talk a little more about the learning curve and what that what can someone expect if they're willing to commit? A lot of times nowadays, so many of us adults think we can just watch a YouTube video and boom, be ready to go. So if you can elaborate on that learning curve.
Absolutely, very good question. So if you are brand new to WordPress and are thinking about trying it, there is very good news. It's the #1 solution in the world. And why does that matter? It's not a popularity contest. The reason why that matters is if you can think of a question or a problem, somebody out there has already gone through it and probably is competing to write the best blog post, or nowadays trying to come up with the best video to walk you through it so they can earn more traffic. Okay. So let's say you were stuck with one specific thing. I'm getting this error, which you're probably not going to ever really get an error, but I'm getting this error. What does this mean? You could literally copy it. This is my mouse. I'm copying it, paste it in Google, and boom, you have a page full of people telling you the exact thing you need to do to fix it. Okay. So that's the good news. You can look on Google or YouTube for almost any, to troubleshoot almost anything. Honestly, you could probably do that with Squarespace too, now that I think about it. But the question was more about WordPress and the learning curve that you can expect. I would say you do want to make sure that you or whoever you're going to have help you, some people have an assistant or have a team or work with an agency. I'm not sure what other options there would be, but want to make sure whoever's in the trenches, so to speak, has at least a Microsoft Office level of competency. Okay. And so if you can hang with Office kind of products, you can hang with Google kind of products, Google Sheets, Google Docs, that stuff's a breeze for you. I wouldn't be afraid of WordPress. A great place to learn the ropes would be wpbeginner.com, because WordPress.org will also give you tons of information, but it's all text and it's written to people who have a background in this, like me, and that's not, it's not real comfortable if you don't understand some of the stuff and you need to understand it. So WP Beginner puts it in layman's terms. Excellent place to just kind of treat it as almost like a boot camp. You're not going to walk out of there with a certificate in it or anything, but you can go through it for free and get all the basics under your belt, watch a video and or read about everything you can think of. And then specific troubleshooting, you can pretty much just Google that kind of stuff. But yeah, you're going to need to learn the basics of, you do need to know at least what hosting is and a domain name. Then for WordPress itself, either how to install it, unless you have somebody else do that for you. What are posts, what are categories, what are pages, what are tags, and then just some of the basic, what does the admin look like? How do you get to that part? How do you get to that part? That just takes a little bit of time to get used to, but I think once you get comfortable with it, all of a sudden you have a million more options if that's what you want, which is a real good thing. So before I go off on a rabbit trail, I'll wrap up with that question, but let me know if I didn't quite answer it.
And Zach, can you explain a little more for Haley, wpbeginner.com?
Yes. So you're going to find a plethora of websites out there that are kind of WordPress tutorial sites. Okay. WP Beginner is one of the most popular ones. It's just, you can go to wpbeginner.com to get there. And they have, if you want to learn the basics of WordPress, you want to learn the basics of WooCommerce, it's all free. And it's kind of like a giant informational site. A couple of things I would say about it. It's very good and very useful. It's so good and useful that I talked to a lot of hosts, like hosting companies on the phone. Within the last year, I was in a conversation with a support rep from Bluehost, which is one of the most popular hosting companies in the world. And he actually said, if we don't know what to do on a support call, he knew that I work in an agency. I don't think you just tell us to anybody, but he said, if we don't know what to do, we actually just tell the customer, hold on a second, and they actually just search in WP Beginner for the solution.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so that's how good it is. Yeah, so bookmark that one if you're thinking about WordPress, or if you have a WordPress site. That now the only caution that I would throw out there with WP Beginner is this: affiliate links. They you might or you might not know what affiliate links are, but it's basically where if I own a website, trying to think of a good example. Let's say I own just a straight up blog site. It has lots of content like this. You know, it might be about beauty products or something. If I, in my article, say the word L'Oreal, and I know I'm dated in a guy and I have no idea what I'm talking about, so hopefully that's even around still, but
you're good. Keep going. You're okay.
Okay, or Maybelline or whatever. Okay,
Yes.
so I can have a link, and in that link, I actually sneak a little snippet of code where I'm an affiliate with L'Oreal, and L'Oreal loves this. They get a click through to their site, and if someone ends up buying a product, I actually get credit, like 10% or whatever percent, or maybe a flat fee for that purchase. So that's what an affiliate link is. They're super popular with blogs. That's the reason why a lot of bloggers can exist, either with ads on the side and or affiliate links snuck in there. And sometimes they'll write an article just to jam a bunch of affiliate links in there. Yuck. So it's true. Now, unfortunately, in recent years, WP Beginner, I have started to see the affiliate links drop into their posts. That doesn't mean it's no longer a good website. That just means that if you're on a WP Beginner tutorial and you're about to click something, it's not like you're going to click it and, you know, get a virus or any, you know, it's not going to be like malware or something weird like that. But when it goes off-site, know that they are monetizing that. And so I would say any recommendations that WP Beginner has where they could potentially be getting kickback, like if it leads to a product purchase, like maybe they're like, here are the 3 most popular plugins for having a schedule on your website, or I forget what the example was that we talked about earlier, uploading secure files to your website, and they're all like paid plugins and they're all affiliate links. I would actually probably do a little bit of homework outside of WP Beginner in a situation like that. I would actually go to Google, and I would go to the wordpress.org website and search for like secure upload plugin. And then I would just look at the top results and I would say, okay, oh, here's one. It's a clear winner. It's got 5 stars and 5 bazillion downloads and all great reviews. Maybe it's $30 or $70, or maybe it's free. Bam, let's try that one. You know, and then maybe check back with WP Beginner. Is that what they said was number 1? Because if those are out of order, that might be a little bit fishy. But in general, for learning the ropes, where there's nothing where WP Beginner would be getting kickback, they're a great resource. And I hope I didn't just confuse the heck out of everybody with all that. That was pretty complicated. But in general, they're really good. And I don't remember how we got here. So maybe Linda, if you can help keep me on track.
We are doing fine. It was the WP Beginner, and then you started talking about affiliates. And I like that you brought that up, because some people get confused by, what's all this? And they don't realize that the person sending them somewhere is doing that because they get a cut of the transaction.
Yeah, unfortunately. So that's no good at all. And to me, I don't like that. I mean, I'm happy that someone is able to make money blogging, but all of a sudden I don't know how sincere you are in your recommendation to me. So I don't take you seriously.
And Zach,
they do have a lot of great content. So
we haven't had a lot of questions come across, and I do want to bring something up and allow people to respond in the chat if they'd like to. Zach is one of our advisors at the SBDC. And if you are located in either Shasta or Trinity County, and you would like to have a conversation with Zach, you want to become a client if you aren't already, through the SBDC, people can actually meet with you outside of these webinars. So Zach, is there anything you want to talk about what kind of service you can provide when you meet with someone one-on-one when they become a client of the SBDC?
Sure. If they were an SBDC client of mine, then I would be able to advise. Okay. As mentioned, I also own a web design agency, so that's for profit. But through the SBDC, I'm an advisor. That's nonprofit. So if you're in the category of, hey, I just want some free help, I just want to be able to ask some questions and get some direction, absolutely let us know. And I'll actually have a slide. I think the one after this is going to have some contact information if you want to get in touch. If not, no problem at all. If you're going to say, Zach, I want you to build a website for me, then I would say, okay, email me and let's talk, and I can get you an estimate. But if you were just wanting advisory stuff, I wouldn't be pushing any buttons for you. but I would say you probably want to push that button. That's the kind of thing that we can offer you. Your tax dollars already pay for that, and through the SBDC, we can make that happen. So just let us know. Just to give a little bit more to that, speak a little bit more to that. It wouldn't necessarily be a step by step kind of a thing. It would be more like, okay, what's the goal? Okay, your goal is to get a website up. I'm gonna give you like 8 hours of homework, okay? And I'm gonna give you, I've been doing this for 16 years. I'm gonna give you the very best recommendation I can give you, and it's not gonna cost you anything. But you would have to do it, okay? And if something goes wrong, you can check back in, and I might check on your progress later and things like that. That would be more advising. I hope that helped clear it up a little bit. But yeah, let's see, Linda, did you say there are more questions that were
Let me
popping
see
up?
what we have. V says, is it possible to create an offline mock site in WordPress for practice?
Yeah, absolutely. So V, if you know how to, you could go to wordpress.org and in a couple clicks download WordPress and install it locally, meaning on your computer. It's offline, okay? Nobody can see it. If you want to kick the tires and see what the admin's like and stuff like that. A lot of people don't know how to do that unless they have at least a little bit of training in the world of web development under their belt. But I would say if you're up for it, go for it. What I might suggest instead, if this is not old hat to you, would be this. I'm just thinking through the process that our agency takes when we're building a new website for someone. We obviously don't want to, let's say we were redesigning Nike.com, I wish, but let's say we were doing that. We obviously wouldn't just start building on Nike.com and boy, if anybody goes to the site, in the meantime, they're going to see this half-finished site. No, that would be terrible. What we do is we'll usually create a dev site, okay? And you could do the same thing if you wanted to. So you could just do test-v.com or whatever domain name you want that nobody's ever going to see, and install WordPress on that. Okay, if you wanted to, you can set a rule in WordPress that says do not crawl my site. Squarespace, I think you can do that too. But yeah, you could potentially follow similar steps with Squarespace, by the way. But
did you use the term crawl my site?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Can you define that one?
Sorry. Yeah.
That's okay.
When a search engine arrives on your site and scours the information and kind of reports back to home base, so we can know where to show your search results, or if you're violating, any terms of use, how to penalize you, and all that kind of fun stuff. That's called crawling. So, so you could set it where search engines can't find your site. That would be probably a more layman's kind of word. And you can build from there, and you can have this half-finished site. You can show your family and friends. You can test it, see what it looks like on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop, and all that kind of fun stuff. And you could customize it. You could test things out, and then when it's ready, you have your other real domain, which is v.com or whatever, and then you just point the domain name to that website that you've been building, and all of a sudden your new website's live, and nobody ever knew it. And that one, then you want to make it so websites can detect your site, of course, because you want to show up on search engines. So I hope that was helpful to you, V. Hopefully I didn't just rabbit trail for no reason there. But
yes, V says yes, thanks.
Great.
And
excellent.
that last phrase that you just used, oh gosh, if I can remember it, when you point you develop the website and then you point it to the URL you purchased?
Yeah. So, unlike a street address, so I'm looking across the street at a business right now. I'm at our office, and there's a business right there. It's the Merit Real Estate Building, okay? Their address might be something like 1801 Pine. I don't know, but let's say that's what it is. Now, if they move to the other side of town, they couldn't still keep 1801 Pine, right? That wouldn't make any sense. The web is a little bit different. When you have a domain name, okay, let's say it was, meritrealestatereading.com, okay, if you have a website and you have that domain pointing to it, great. You could be building a redesigned site over here, and when you're ready, have that domain name point to the new website, okay? And now all of a sudden when people go to that web domain name, whatever I said, meritrealestateredding.com, all of a sudden, boom, they're seeing the new site. The old one, you can just kill that account, cancel that account, and all of a sudden you have a new site. So hopefully I answered your question there.
Great. Yes, thank you. I know when I
Awesome.
set up my first website, I had to do all of that part, and then I had to have a service help me do that last link.
Oh yeah.
And it isn't something where you think your website is done, and you hand it to someone else, and then I think it took 48 hours for them to go through that process of replicating all the servers and everything. So
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, they usually
it's
say a
not
day
an
or two.
immediate, it's not a flip the switch.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it is. They always say up to 48 hours.
Oh, is that
And
right?
yeah, well, they say that, and then half the time it's like in the blink of an eye, but you never really know. So I think they're just covering themselves, and you know, just making sure that they don't say, yeah, it's gonna be live any second now, and then 2 days later they get all these phone calls. Why isn't my website live? So it does take some time to propagate. In other words, it does take some time for the domain name to point to the correct website when things get switched. But anyways, okay, what other kind of questions?
We don't have questions, but I'm just thinking of a few that would be valuable because I've gone through this myself. I remember what it was like to be totally uncomfortable in the beginning. If I can just share a brief story with you about getting my website up and running, and then you can give me the pros perspective on this. When I set up my first website, I used Wix. It was super simple. It was like PowerPoint where you just substitute, but it didn't give me much capability. And then I got some software, which we aren't talking about today. And I procrastinated for 6 months because I didn't know how to do it. And it was, to me, frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And then I finally committed to a friend of mine who's also a coach that, okay, this is ridiculous that I've waited this long. I committed to them that I would have it done within 7 days. And after 4 days of totally focusing, I took everything else off my calendar. After 4 days, I had it up.
Nice.
So I didn't know if you wanted to address that procrastination issue of, just getting something done and making some progress on a regular basis and how that can really pay off.
No, it's so real. Good story, Linda. Yeah. So right now we're working with a client, not through SBDC, but through our agency. And we're about 85, maybe 90% of the way through this website. And it's a couple 100-hour of work kind of a website. And just at the end, but the owner of the site needs to write these blog posts. And that's so hard because she's kind of has writer's block. She's in the middle of filming a bunch of things right now. She has so much stuff going on. And it's not a knock on her, but boy, that's very real. If you're overwhelmed by this, that can kind of create a creative block, or that can just feel so daunting that you kind of just let other things kind of pop up in front of it. So really there's a solid process to coming up with a website, and I probably won't get into it right now, but some really good steps that I think a lot of people overlook, like creating the text, like coming up with the images. Who's going to come up with the photos here? Are they going to look good? Are they going to be professional? Are they going to be cheap stock photos? Or what are we? It's easy to overlook these steps. It's easy to just think that a website. I think that companies, unfortunately, portray coming up with a new website like you just wave a wand and it's there, and it's just not true. And so your website must have some good stuff on it for you to have to buckle down that much and wrap your head around it. If everything Linda and I just talked about freaks you out, then I would say Squarespace would probably be a better fit, or Wix or Weebly. But to be honest with you, it's easy to have a website on those and it looks homegrown. Okay. You could do that with anything though. Okay. But you don't want an unpolished website. You don't want a website that people show up and go, ooh, and it actually damages your business's brand rather than enhances it, right? So anyways, I'm not sure what else to say about that, Linda, other
Mhm.
than, a lot of times it takes a team, and especially if it's going to be, 5 or 10 pages and nice looking and have some added features and functionality, it's okay to have a team. It's okay to, and even if your team isn't like employees, it could be an agency, or it could be someone at the SBDC as, okay, this is my coach. Okay. I'm not the coach because this isn't my area of expertise, but Zach's going to coach me, or Linda's going to coach me, or whoever else. And then we'll have a designer, and that'll be their role. They'll be on our team. They're our designer. It's my cousin. He's affordable, and he went to design school. He knows what he's doing, and he has some free time right now. He'd be happy to help. So he's part of our team. It's okay to build a team, rather than to think you got to take everything on. If you are going to take everything on yourself, yeah, it's good to learn what you can online or through people who have done it a lot. So yeah, really good question, Linda.
We still have 5 more minutes. I don't see questions, so I just want to, have the conversation, hopefully provide some value here. You mentioned photos a minute ago. Can you talk a little bit about using photos? Because I know some people that don't know any better think you can Google and grab some photo and just use it on your website. Can you
I'm going
address
to tell you
that?
why you don't. I'm going to tell you why you don't want to do that. Did I cut you off? I'm sorry.
No, not at all. I just wanted to make sure you talked about it because some people might not know this, and you and I know, and they might be new to it.
Here's why this is important. It's illegal, and you might kind of roll your eyes. But I'm going to tell you why it matters. My wife works for a small government branch where their website has blog posts, and one of those blog posts from back in 2017 or something happened to have a picture that I won't even tell you what the picture was. It was it was something very fun that just went along with the blog post, and someone actually sued this branch. They said, that's my photo. You or whoever came up with that blog post took it from Google or wherever you found it, and you stuck it on your website, and they actually sued them, and they won. I mean, they had to. I think they settled out of court. So I don't think I worded that quite properly, but enough information on that. I'm not putting anybody down. This is why it's important. Make sure you have your own either original stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about best case scenario, and then what's after that, maybe what's after that. So that's why you don't want to steal photos. Okay, if you get caught, that's not good. Don't steal content either, because if Google or other search engines pick up on that, ouch, you're going to get a penalty, and there goes your rankings. Okay, not good. I've seen it happen, and that can really, really, really hurt your business if you're really relying on Google traffic. Okay, you might not, but if you are, careful on that. But with the images, I would say here's like good, better, best. Best case scenario would be you actually hire a professional photographer, or maybe you're a professional or amateur photographer. You actually take your own photos, whether it's your boutique pet supply products or your beauty products or your shoes, or it's not even an e-commerce store and you're like me and you have an office and you're more selling services. You want to get nice photos, okay? You want original photos. That's very best case scenario. You might hire a professional photographer to do it. I don't know. But that might be out of the budget, or maybe you don't have time. You might be like Linda, where you said, I'm giving myself 7 days, and there's not time in the budget for a photographer, and that could take weeks, just to go through all that. So that's best case scenario, but that's not always available for multiple reasons that I already said. But that's high quality stuff, high quality. I've worked on sites where the website owner spent as much money on their photography for the website as they did for the whole rest of the project. That blew me away, but it made the website so good. Okay. Now, next best case scenario would be that you get really good stock photography. Okay, you can get really, really high-end stuff at a place like Getty Images, but that's going to be really pricey, almost as pricey as a paid photographer. Okay, so let's go a step below that. Would be your average stock photography. The most popular stock photography websites would be iStock Photo, Shutterstock, I can't think of some of the other ones, but those are, there's so many, but those are two probably the hands down most popular ones. You can purchase photos on those. They're probably going to run you between $8 and $12 an image, depending on how you bundle things and all that kind of stuff. If you buy a one-off, it's probably going to cost you $12 for a photo, and maybe you can get away with that. We end up needing that on so many projects. There's nothing wrong with that. It's totally legal. You're just paying the artist who took the photo through a third-party website that you can easily search. And the only thing is sometimes they don't match right. Sometimes they don't match your brand, or sometimes they just look too obvious of a stock photo. You've probably been to a website where you see someone like a cheesy smile holding a shopping cart with like an icon in the shopping cart or something. It just looks to me ridiculous and ubiquitous and just overused, overplayed, and fake, and plastic and all that stuff. Avoid that. But you can still get some pretty good stuff. So that would be your kind of next, maybe your lower ladder rung. I guess the bottom rung would be that you just steal illegally. So do not do that. But I would also fill you in on this pro tip would be there are a few really good free stock photography websites out there. The most popular one, hands down, would be Unsplash. That's unsplash.com. And this thing is growing leaps and bounds in popularity. Every photo on there is 100% free.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know about this one. This is great. I love getting good information like this.
Bookmark that one, Linda.
Absolutely. I use Pixabay, but I'd never heard of Unsplash.
Pixabay is another one, and Pixal, Pixaal, or something like that would be the third one. Those are probably the three most popular ones, but Unsplash, from my understanding, is kind of like the most popular. We use that on almost every project, not for all the photos. That would be a little cheesy, but in a pinch, it's a free and usually nice stock photo. And why is it free? It is free because it is a huge source of exposure for up-and-coming photographers. So, Linda, if you were an up-and-coming photographer, which I don't think you are, you could say, how do I get exposure besides having my own website? Nobody's going to it. Oh, I'll upload some really spiffy photos to Unsplash. They'll be free. Ouch, I don't get much for that, but at least I can get some traffic on my website from that. I have friends that are photographers that do this. And they're happy to do it. They're happy to get that exposure, even though they're not getting paid for it. So that's why it exists. That's why it's legal. Of course, they encourage you to give credit to the photographers. Sometimes people do, sometimes people don't. Well, probably mostly people don't. But and I know we're almost out of time, so I'll stop rabbit trailing here. But yeah, just that hopefully is helpful information when it comes to photography. You can't wave a wand and it appears. You actually have to figure that part out, and those are your good, better, best options. So
great stuff, Zach. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, you got it. Okay. Any other questions before we wrap up? I think we're probably a little bit past time here.
Yeah, you have addressed everything. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Was this helpful, you guys? I hope this was helpful to you.
We have lots of thank yous coming through in the chat. So yes,
cool.
Very valuable.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks, you guys. Well, so I won't bother reviewing the objectives. I think we've done that over and over. You should hopefully be able to take this to make a decision. If you have any other questions, reach out to us. Let's see here. What do we have to wrap up? Stuff that we don't want to beat a dead horse here. So as Linda mentioned, if you want any no-cost advisory services from folks like Linda or myself or other great folks, you can reach out. Here is the phone number. Sorry, it carried on to two lines there. The area code's 530-222-8323. This would be for Shasta or I believe Trinity counties. Or you can visit the website or email Emily at norcalsbdc.org. Again, this is free. It's advisory services. If you are interested in redesigning your website and actually want to talk beyond advisory services, I'd love to hear from you. Drop me an email. That would be excellent. You can reach out for that as well. So, okay, thanks so much for joining, everybody. Linda, anything else as we wrap up here?
I just wanted to reiterate what I said at the beginning. For those of you that may have joined a little late, I want to make sure that you're aware that this is the Shasta-Cascade SBDC, and we're providing no-cost confidential one-on-one advisory services to entrepreneurs and small businesses in Shasta and Trinity County. And we also offer no-cost or low-cost workshops and webinars just like this one. We're funded by the U.S. Small Business Administration and the state of California. For those of you that aren't in Shasta County or Trinity County, I know sometimes we have people out of state and even people out of country. If you are in the US, there is an SBDC location supporting your county. And you can go to Google and do SBDC location by searching on that, and you will be able to find one near you. If you are in Trinity or Shasta County and you would like us to reach out to you, feel free to go to the chat and type in your name and your phone number. And I will be happy to pass that information on to Emily and ask her to get in touch with you. If you'd like to have a meeting with Zach, go ahead and put that information in the chat. I'll leave the chat open for a couple minutes to gather that information for you. And that concludes our session. As we mentioned earlier, this is recording, and we'll be sending, I shouldn't say we, Emily, will kindly be sending that recording out to you in a couple days. And also with that, you're going to receive an email with a survey. We would love it if you would take the 2 minutes that it will take you to fill out that survey and let us know what you thought of this. I know Zach provided so much what I call bonus information at the end of this webinar to help you make some really big decisions for your business. So if you could please fill that survey out, because that is information we report back to the Small Business Administration and the state of California to be able to justify our funding. So we really appreciate you participating. And now I'd like to hand it back to Zach so he can wrap us up for the night.
Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks so much for joining. Hope to hear from you. If not, we wish you luck with your endeavors. Hope your website projects go great. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, okay? Thanks again, everybody. Have a great night.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Zach. Great information.
Thanks, Linda. Bye.
Bye.